Good morning, good afternoon, and good evening, everybody. Thank you for tuning into another Supatease video. And now, obviously, some specs are going to be easier than others in order to achieve your rating goals and desired rewards. In today's video, I'm going to be covering one of the best specializations right now for PvP in Season 2, as I have for specializations in pretty much every patch prior to this point, and these guides have helped out many players in order to get to their goals. And if you want to make sure that you're staying up to date with news related to World of Warcraft, then make sure to smash that subscribe button. Your support is greatly appreciated. Now, Marksmanship Hunter is going to feel a lot different when you log in on this specialization for the first time, because you're going to be playing with no pet now. Lone Wolf is the default. I have my talent page laid out here on the screen for you, and I will have the talent code linked in the description down below. We're just going to briefly cover some of the most important concepts and changes from the talent tree so that you know exactly how to abuse it to the best of your ability. So the first thing that you're going to notice is the return of double tap, which has a lot of marksmanship hunters really happy, and that's for a very good reason, because it's very powerful. Double tap is going to be activated from your true shot as well as your volley. So in previous iterations of marksmanship hunter, you took volley to get salvo, and you would get this kind of like big explosive shot proc. You're not really going to do that anymore. You're just going to be using volley as kind of like this 45-second timer to activate your double tap to get massive damage out in that window of time with aim shot or rapid fire. So this is kind of like, that's like the first thing you really want to pay attention to. Volley is really important for single target burst on this build. The next one is that marksmanship hunters are shifting over to Sentinel over Dark Ranger. As Dark Ranger receives some nerfs. I tried it. It seems like defensively it might be acceptable. I wish that Black Arrow hit a little bit harder. I think that it would likely be more competitive as far as an option, and I could see gameplay where you would play Dark Ranger into plate classes to make you tankier and to give you a little bit of armor penetration, and then you'd play Sentinel into pretty much anything else, or to try and zone pillars and prevent enemies from escaping, because the main thing this is going to give you is Lunar Storm, which is when you rapid fire, you'll shoot at this now giant drone circle which will chase a target, and it really kind of zones pillars, and it gives you a lot of extra damage in engagements. So this is a really strong build at the moment. I would recommend it over Dark Ranger. Hopefully Dark Ranger is going to just get some buffs kind of in the near future. Otherwise it's going to be a little bit rough. Some other things to note is that you can now use intimidation basically from anywhere on the map. You can stun players through the pillar with it. So if you're pushing up on a healer who's running away from you in line of sighting your trap, you can stun them through the pillar, catch up to them, and land it. So this is really important to know about this. And Roar of Sacrifice can be used when you are crowd controlled, but only not when you're silenced. It's a little bit strange in that regard. So if you get garroted by a rogue, you actually can't use Roar of Sacrifice. But in pretty much every other crowd control, you can now use Roar of Sacrifice, which makes it a lot better, obviously, since we are playing the Lone Wolf build. If your pet was CC'd, you weren't able to use Sac, now it doesn't matter. So those are kind of like the big things that you want to note from the baseline tree as far as changes that are coming through. Next thing is PvP talents. You don't really have to play Diamond Ice Trap anymore because they've increased the threshold on crowd control effects. So I have been playing with Aspect of the Fox, which is a new PvP talent, which makes aim shot basically you can cast while moving. And it's really good when you're cutting away from melee attackers, and really good when you're pushing in to close out a game. But it is a very long cooldown, so you have to be very precise with when you are going to activate it. There still may be situations where you would want to run Diamond Ice, and obviously I would switch Aspect of the Fox out for it. And those instances are where you're getting attacked by maybe double melee DPS, and you want to trap one of the melee DPS off of yourself so that you're able to escape, get to safety, and avoid a lot of damage. Those are generally, though, those are the big ones. I've been enjoying this build a lot. It's been a lot of fun, and I played it a lot in the preseason. This character was locked for me on day one. I was actually intending on playing Marksman a lot because I'm getting older. I'm getting more annoyed by crowd control and getting interrupted. And this class you can't get interrupted on, so it's really fun. It's nice like that. I don't get as angry. Okay, I'm becoming a bitter, grumpy old man. Marksmanship Hunter is keeping me happy in that regard. But it was locked out for a day, so I fell a little bit behind on the gearing curve, which is also important to take into account. When you farm honor gear, you're kind of just going to have to accept that you're not going to be able to get mastery on every piece, but you really do want to get mastery on every piece. I took haste as the secondary instead of mastery, and it seems to be doing all right for me so far with the honor gear, so don't be too upset with this, but basically you're going to want mastery as your main stat, versatility as your secondary stat, and then I prioritized haste. I think some hunters you could go crit if you really wanted to, because honestly, if you get a big crit on aim shot, it could be really funny. And this stage of gear with your honor gear really doesn't matter. You shouldn't be too concerned about it. So if you want to go crit on the honor gear, go crit and see what happens. I went haste, and I was really enjoying the fast cast aim shots and the pew pew rapid fires. So that's how I was having fun with this. But basically, mastery, versatility are going to be your main go-tos. Embellishments are going to be the focusing iris. You're going to want to get the ones where your gem sockets cause you to do more damage. And I have a gearing guide, which I'll have linked at the end of this, for basically every class on what's like the order operations as far as getting your gear. You just generally want to avoid getting a weapon, and I'm going to be spam playing this character a lot more because it's just so much fun to play. But mastery, versatility, get the embellishment that gives it so your sockets can proc extra damage. I think it's really good on marksman because you don't have a lot of like kind of wasted damage in a lot of instances that could trigger it on pets. You just kind of get that as a single target bonus. And yeah, I think that's going to be the main go-to for embellishments. That's your main go-to as far as stat distribution. So we've covered the talents, we've covered the PP talents, we've covered the stats and the itemization that you're going to want to be going for. Let's look at some gameplay. So I've got a shuffle lobby that I played last night against some really good players. I'm playing against my co-commentator, Vin Ruki, in this lobby on Marksmanship Hunter. So there's melee DPS, Windwalkers, and Warriors, and they can be really tough to deal with. So we're going to start in Camouflage. And our main goal is to try and limit the damage of the melee attacker as much as possible, while finding opportunities to trap if they present themselves, but not like pushing in too far. So you can see I'm playing very passive in the back, taking a high ground advantage. Listen to Obi-Wan's teachings. They are viable in arena. And I'm kind of just trying to make it difficult for this monk to do anything. So I binding shot, root him, and then go for a stun trap. I only push in aggressively after I've taken control of the melee DPS, reduce their damage by 100%. I trinket disarm, which is super risky, but now that we can use Roar of Sacrifice and stun, I'm not too worried about it. So I can just Roar of Sacrifice, we can survive the first stun, and we can force a trinket from every single player. This is a very aggressive stance. Here we're going to use Aspect of the Cheetah with Master's Call. This is where we're going to get Aspect of the Fox, so we can move cast aim shots and kind of kite away. It's a little bit less effective. This is a game where you may have been able to play Diamond Dice with these melee attackers and kind of trap the monk and then scatter the priest on CD, but you can flip that around and scatter the monk too. And with the CC breaker timer, I think it's still the same, but we're just hammering damage into the hunter who's playing in the middle of the map. We're going to be tossing knockbacks on the monk, tossing roots on the monk, trying to get control of him. It's generally a good idea to save the root trap, though, until they use Fist of Fury against a Windwalker, because they don't want to stop their channel. So you can root their Fist of Fury and then disengage away from them. They have to stop their channel, and Tiger's Lust to get back to you, and you can limit some damage. Disarm can be difficult to deal with. I generally just throw crowd control at the monk whenever this happens. Probably should have used a scatter shot there on the monk instead. I was worried about not being able to land a trap, but I have a stun. So honestly, this is a mistake here. Using the scatter on the Windwalker would be way better. You just need to be careful about when they've got Fist. We push in, we get a stun out of the scatter, we force another paint suppression. Here we're using volley to get the double tap, and we're using it on a rapid fire because I want to move away. And now I'm baiting the monk behind the pillar, knocking him, throwing root traps on his path so he has to kind of go around it, veer around the corner, and we're going to trap him out of line of sight. So even though I don't have Diamond Ice trap, because the priest isn't in line of sight, I can then throw a silence as the monk's moving forward, and I can get the monk off of myself pretty easily in this position, move forward to scatter out of my silence, get a binding shot onto the priest as well, just try and chain as much crowd control as we can. Priest ends up fading out of it, which is really sad for us, but we get the high ground again. They've got Bestial Wrath. This is also a good time to use the root trap. Anytime a BM Hunter uses Bestial Wrath where their pets get that red icon, you can root them, and then they'll be stuck in that, and you'll be limiting their damage during a time where their threshold's really high. Using the high ground to knock the monk off the Z-axis, and then we're going to disengage away, try and push in for a trap. We have our stun. Whenever we have intimidation, we should be pushing towards the priest to try and stun trap. That gets a trinket. We get stunned here, we're going to trinket. Leg sweep is a scary window, and almost every monk is either going to disarm your trinket on the stun or stun your trinket on the disarm. And you kind of just have to know that. So if you're going to trinket the disarm, you should pre-wall expecting to get stunned. If you get stunned and you trinket, you're kind of just stuck in more CC and not able to really make trades. But we're pumping damage, kick the priest, and able to close out the game. And counter shot is really important because damage is quite high. You can get a lot of burst in a short window of time. So you really need to be paying attention to opportunities to interrupt the healer because you don't even need to cross the map and kind of push in and get, exposed to incoming damage. You can kind of just chill and sit back and land a kick and just win a game with a kick in a lot of positions. The rotation is a little bit different. You'll notice that you kind of can run out of aim shots in a lot of times, and it's more so like this. You'll use a rapid fire, arcane shot, aim shot, arcane shot, aim shot, arcane shot, and you're kind of weaving back and forth between arcane shot and rapid fire aim shot. because they're going to be giving you buffs that buff each other respectively, right? One buffs the other, so you just bounce between them back and forth, and that's generally your rotation. You're not going to spam Arcane Shot. You can't spam Aim Shot because you're going to run out of aim shots, so you kind of just go back and forth between them. And that's what you weave as a rotation. I see the warrior out of stealth, but again, I still don't really want to just overextend. So I'm trying to stay max distance away. We use volley to get double tap, big rapid fire. It's a really fun opener. It procs your sentinel as well as the sentinel owl. That forces die by the sword from the warrior. We get stunned. We use reverse sack and wall. Generally at the start of a game in solo shuffle, you should be just using a wall almost immediately. They're going to just use every cooldown, and because they got blade storm on me as well, I'm going to use my turtle. I'm not going to risk too much here. I could have tossed my root trap on the pets here as they enraged and they became red. That would have definitely helped limit a little bit of damage. Get a double binding shot on the DPS, throw out a root trap off the binding shot. We got ultimate penitence, so we go for a big aim shot. Rapid fire, we got kill shot procs. You obviously want to weave those in when you get them. We'll knock the warrior away for a moment. We get storm bolted again. I end up trinketing this one, which is a little bit reckless, honestly, in this position. I'm trying to bait the warrior back behind the pillar as I see ultimate penitence, and I'm just playing passive and avoiding their attacks. We've got volley for double tap, so you can lob out a big aim shot or rapid fire here in a moment. And it's going to cleave also with the volley, which is nice when they're stacked like this if they go on the melee DPS. And now I kind of see an opportunity. The priest is getting close, so I'm going to toss a silence and go for a sneaky disengaged trap and end up getting it. I'm surprised. I actually thought I was going to miss that right there. We're going to wall here for a second because we just randomly got blasted pushing in for the trap. It's kind of one of those things where if you're going to push in, you got to get ready to trade a cooldown. Sometimes it can be worth it. I think with how high damage is at the moment, it can definitely be worth it. Now I'm just kind of playing passively, waiting for the DRs, trying to avoid damage, letting my monk push in and letting him soak damage. Just let the melee DPS soak damage, especially when the enemy team has a melee. Now, if they don't have a melee, you have to push in with your melee. But in this position, you kind of play a delicate dance of bouncing between both strategies. So we got a rapid fire here. We've got volley available. We've got a trap available. We have a lot of damage we could shoot. So we're just getting ready to get into a position to be able to do it. We volley. We're going through, die by the sword, almost killing him. We get void shift. I'm going to reposition over, scatter the hunter for a second to stall damage on my monk and that spear. And then we get the warrior just crunch. He's taking so much damage, attacking anything that we can that's close in line. Moving over to the priest here, looking to try and get a freezing trap, waiting for his fade. Don't see it. Go for it. Get the trinket. Aim shot, arcane shot, silence the priest after that. We've got feign death, which is an important mechanic as well to reduce damage. Against the warrior here, I used the feign death right there, but you should honestly wait till they use Warbreaker, which is right here. They're almost always going to hit you with a really hard global right after they use this debuff right here. And it's going to be because they've incorporated Sharpened Blade into that cooldown, so their next Mortal Strike always hits really hard. So timing the feign death around that Colossus Smash is likely going to be the best time to reduce a significant amount of damage against an Arms Warrior. And now I kind of have to kite away and avoid damage because I blew through a lot of defensives, and I've got my turtle coming up in 15 seconds. So we're about tied on mana, and with defense coming up soon, I'm playing a little more passively, but then the priest runs at me, so we're just going to push past him. We trap the warrior defensively, and we're just hammering damage. Our priest gets a fear, forces a trinket. We'll kick the priest, and once again, kick and able to secure the kill. So it's a delicate dance of playing both defense and offense at the moment of Marksmanship Hunter. I think once I get more gear also, the game is going to slow down for me defensively and also amplify my damage a lot because I'm, again, playing at full green, so I just got to be able to get on this character again for the first time this season. But I have played it in multiple seasons. It's a very similar play style, but with the return of double tap and this new rotation of weaving rapid fire and aim shots together, it has changed slightly, but it's definitely a lot of fun. It's really strong. I hope you guys enjoyed this guide. I hope you guys enjoyed this breakdown and have a blast with it. If you enjoyed the video, make sure to hit it with a thumbs up. Comment down below with your thoughts with Marksmanship Hunter. Have you been enjoying it? What class are you looking at playing? What class should I cover next? And other than that, thank you very much for watching the video, and I will see you in the next one.